With production quality increasing around the world, some say there's really no such thing as a bad knife anymore. But are some of them actually garbage? Depends on how you define it. But we're going to take a look at that and more on today's episode of KniFAQ number 226 of the series where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the KnifeCenter. That is Thomas behind the camera, as usual.
Hydration. It's been hot out lately.
It has been hot out lately, but it is weird how the random words you're saying do apply to a little bit to the questions I've been selecting.
The questions I really don't look at.
The questions that Thomas does not see before we do these. Like, I see them because I prepare them, obviously. But anyway, what we do is we answer your questions. The questions come from the comment section below these videos. That is where you can leave one if you would like it considered for a future episode. First question today comes from the 4CP. Hey, DCA and Thomas. I work in sanitation. Giggle. Let me apologize in advance because this is not meant to disparage your line of work whatsoever, but the juvenile part of my brain is indeed juvenile. So I'm just going to, try to have some light fun with it, but do not take that as a sign of disrespect, please. I work in sanitation. I encounter having to cut everything from cardboard, rope, carpet, and electrical cords. What's the best 4 to 5 inch fixed blade for my job? A scout carry sheath would help if at all possible. Garbage knives.
We're 12 years old.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am sorry. This does give me the opportunity to hold something like the Civivi Propagnator with its urine-colored Ultim handles, but it's not actually what you should use. Pardon my childishness, please. Anyway, yeah, I got some options for you. This is something where serrations, I think, might come in handy, or at least partial serrations, but I'll have some options, unserrated as well. But serrations, stainless for sure, and maybe something sheep's footy, or with a slightly blunter tip, although not necessarily blunted. At least something with a mostly straight edge could come in pretty handy, even if it's the dreaded Reverse Tanto blade shape. But the first thing I'm going to show you is none of those blade shapes, actually. But let me start with two serrated options, I guess, first. The Jumpmaster 2 from Spyderco could be really nice. It's about $210 and some change, 4.5 inch H2 blade steel. H2 being impervious to rust is what it is billed to do, or billed to be. And the serrated versions of H2 actually have higher edge retention than the non-serrated versions. First of all, because the serrations pack in more sharpened edge to the length, so your edge feels like it lasts longer. But also the way they grind the serrations in here, much like on the older H1 steel, it kind of work hardens the edge. So the edge itself is actually harder than the steel on the non-serrated versions. So that's pretty cool. But plenty of shearing power, cutting rope, cardboard, all sorts of fiber stuff like that. Especially the serrations, I think, would come in real handy with electrical cord. You don't need it necessarily, but it could be a nice to have. Plenty of traction with the bidirectional texturing on the injection molded scales here. Might be a little harder to clean out if they get gunky, if you know what I mean. But
a pressure washer couldn't help do.
There you go. But it could be a pretty good option for you. The sheath is it Kydex or is it Bolteron? It's one of the above. It clicks in. It comes with Spyderco's G-clip here on the back, which is set up for horizontal carry, but can be easily swapped for, actually it's set up for vertical carry. It can be easily swapped for horizontal carry, so you could scout carry it, smaller your back, what have you. Nice thing about it being removable without removing your belt is exactly that. That is the nice thing about it. Especially if you're cleaning up at the end of the day, that sort of thing. Could be quite nice. Or even hopping into vehicles, you need to take it off kind of quickly. It could be a good option. Actually, not too much more than this. You could also get the Benchmade Undercurrent. And this one is getting a little more sheep's footy, although you do have a lot of belly out here. 3 $250. So it's about just about $40 more expensive than the H2 blade here, and you should get significantly higher edge retention with the Magna Cut here. Nice and tough as well for being indiscriminate in your work uses. The partial serrations, like I said, should be pretty nice here as well. The handle here is rubbery, little bit of grip, should be easy enough to keep clean and give you plenty of traction in wet or dirty surroundings. And yeah, I think this would shear and cut really nicely for the things you're looking to do. And you get the advantage of some plain edge out there if you don't want to commit to a fully serrated option like the Jump Master there. Sheath for this knife is right here. It does not come with belt attachment. You'll need to supply that separately, but it could be as simple as a Velcro loop or something right here. Even paracord strung up could create a loop here, or throw something like a Tech Lock or a Civivi T-clip on the side, and then again you get the advantage of being able to remove it on the fly, as it were.
Butterfly.
On the butterfly, as it were. Next up, this knife gives similar kind of vibes to the Undercurrent, but it is much chunkier and it is a good budget option. These two knives are fairly expensive, but the Delta Class Bedrock from Schrade is a tough worker for sure, and it's only about $37. You get a lot of knife and sheath, which we'll get to that in a minute, for that kind of money. 4 1/4 inch blade. I didn't mention the blade length on the Undercurrent. That's 4.32. But yeah, 4 1/8, did I say? No, 4 1/4 on the Bedrock right here. Aus 8 steel, so it's stainless enough. It's not the most stainless of stainless steels out there, but most of this is coated, which should help that even further. It is still a stainless steel, however. It's not, you don't have to worry too much about it if you keep it clean. Chunky blade here. That's about 1/4 inch thick. Rubber over molded handles. Yeah. Nice solid feel in the hand, and it feels like, even with the hollow grind, it's not super thin behind the edge, so it feels like you could really work this knife very toughly, very roughly, I mean. The sheath can be carried horizontally quite easily. I would recommend, if you're going to do that regularly, you might want to mod it a little bit. Just chop this off. Chop the standard belt loop off, and then your T-clip or Tech Lock can be swapped in right here. And you've also got a ferro rod, but also a set of ceramic V-notch sharpeners here, or honers perhaps more appropriately. There's a little bit of abrasion there, but it's not like a carbide pull-through sharpener that really wrecks your edge in the process of getting it sharp. It's more for maintenance rather than full-on sharpening. So as you're going through your workday, it starts to get a little dull. Pop this off if you've got the Tech Lock on there and give it a few swipes, and you're back in business. And you're not going to have to worry or feel guilty about really thrashing this and working this knife hard, because again, $37, and that is a ton of knife for the money. All right, let's dial back the chunk a little bit here.
Hit. Where's the sanitation?
Oh. We're children. You said it. The Kepler from Civivi. 4 1/2 inch blade, 9CR series stainless, so easy to maintain. And on sale right now, actually, for about $60, at least at the time we're filming this. Normally they're about $85. You've got this big sheep's foot style blade. Some may call it a reverse Tanto, but I will not in this case. G10 handles.
Not on our team anymore.
I don't want to be on your Tanto team, your reverse Tanto team. Plenty of length there for bigger grips, even if you got work gloves on, and enough strength. It's not going to be as kind of like abusable feeling as the Schrade, but it is going to slice a little more cleanly due to the geometry overall. It's a good knife. Civivi does really good in the fit and finish department here, and the sheath is Kydex, and it comes already equipped with the Bob Terzola designed Civivi T-clip right here, so you can swap that around for horizontal carry with, with some kind of screwdriver. Phillips head. There you go. Pretty handy, eh? Dialing the chunk down a little bit further. How about a chef knife? I actually don't like that they call this the chef knife. The Condor Sport Zero, that's Xero, chef fixed blade knife.
David can't read. It's the Sport Zero Chief, not the Sport Zero Chef. Anyway.
It's not really a chef knife, but hey.
No kidding.
$105 for this. You've got Sandvik 14C 28N steel. A little bit more belly to the edge right here, but you can maybe get some of those slices might feel a little better. You will have to worry a little bit more about the edge slipping out of like a long cardboard cut, for instance, but I think cutting down through carpet's going to be nice too. Nice, fairly thin blade stock, but 14C 28N is nice and tough, so I'm not really worried about the durability of this blade in this type of scenario. Micarta handles, they're blue, and they do have a bit of a rag texture to them. You may want to mod this a little bit, or sand it up to a higher grit finish. Working in your line of work, I could see this maybe picking up dirt and grime a little bit and just kind of looking dingy after a little while, but your mileage may vary. You know what you're going to be cutting more better than I do. Yikes. Sheath here is Kydex as well. It comes with a lot of belt attachment options, but you will need to bring something like a tech lock into play for horizontal carry. Two more. If you want to get a little slimmer, have some options here. These are more premium priced options. The first is the Half-Breed Compact Field Fixed Blade Knife in, gasp, Reverse Tanto blade shape.
Good job.
Although it says Warncliffe on the website.
Bad job.
All I'm saying. $195 for this N690 steel stonewashed finish. For this, I was hesitant actually to put this on the table just a little bit. Being a skeletonized knife, you may want something with more grip. You could always wrap it in paracord, but then you have to worry about keeping that clean. But just because we already had it, I said, all right, let's just go ahead and leave it on the table so I can show it to you with that caveat, of course. Really well made though. Sheath is really well done too. It's injection molded and it comes with two attachment options. The Ulti clip is fitted right out of the box, which is handy. That'll clamp it down into position, but it also comes with a dots style clip, which is very similar to a tech lock, so you can rotate it around for your horizontal carry quite easily. And last but not least, the most expensive knife, saved it for last, Blackside Customs and their Americana fixed blade. $325, CPM 154, which is not 154 CM. They aren't the same steel. CPM 154 is a powder metallurgy version of the steel, gets it a lot tougher than the standard thing. So this is also going to slice better than some of the chunkier blades there, but you've got a little extra toughness due to the steel there to counteract that a little bit. Very acute tip on this as well. This is also listed as a Warncliffe on the website, but some might call it a Reverse Tanto. What you gonna do?
Send some emails.
G10 for the handles, on the slimmer side, but it definitely gives you more than just the skeletonized handle of the Half-Breed right there. So yeah, you've got two wildly different options here in terms of length, or in terms of size overall. Blade length on this is 4 1/4. Blade length on that Half-Breed is just over 4 inches. So yeah, it depends on how far you want to stretch out to that 5-inch mark. Hopefully I give you some options right here. Sheath is Kydex. You will need to supply a tech lock as well. So, another tech lock or a T-clip, another few bucks on top of that. Definitely the pricier option, but still a pretty cool one. Anyway, I hope that helps. I got through that with fewer potty jokes than I anticipated.
That's what outtakes are for. Outhouse takes?
I was going to make some joke about fiber not being regular. I'm not sure. Thank you for your question. No disrespect intended. Coyote 4936. Why does DCA not like Reverse Tantos? Okay, because they're garbage. No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't dislike Reverse Tantos for what they are. I just think there are usually, for blades that are listed as Reverse Tantos, better names for the blade shape. That's all. So I play it up a little bit for camera, and because I know, gives Thomas something to, annoy me back with. And, that's just part of what we do.
That was more of a lightning round question, wasn't it?
No, I had examples here, actually. Let me tell you why. So here is the knife that coined the term Reverse Tanto. It is arguably not the first modern Reverse Tanto knife. Ken Onion arguably was doing a Reverse Tanto before, but that Reverse Tanto on the random task didn't really look like this. This blade on the 940 has more in common, quite honestly, with something like a spay blade, which you can see here on this straight line EDC digger that I helped design. You know, as opposed to a true Tanto blade, which if we turn this, this black side around, that could very well wear the phrase reverse Tanto. But even then, as the website says, it's got more in common with a Wharncliffe than anything else. Just round that tip off just a little bit, and there you are. Like, you've got that Wharncliffe style shape. So, reverse Tanto doesn't always tell you too much. Like this propugnator at the beginning, that is technically a reverse Tanto, technically. But could you also get away with calling it Wharncliffe? Maybe. This is one of those where, I'm not going to fight too hard for people who like to call this a reverse Tanto. And in fact,
both.
The website does call it reverse Tanto. Call it both what?
Call it both Wharncliffe and reverse Tanto.
It's a reverse Wharnto. I don't know.
Reverse Tanto is inclusive. I like that one.
So I don't really hate them. Just I'm mildly irked by what some people call reverse Tantos. And I'm mildly irked by some people who call things reverse Tantos. But it's mild.
You got a button, I'm going to push it.
It's mild. We get along. For the people who complain about Thomas needling me about reverse Tantos, it's fine. If I wanted him to stop, I'd ask him to stop.
Maybe I'd listen.
Maybe you'd listen. How about Damyr's buried treasure today? We're on the letter R, thanks to his question. We're going through the alphabet now, showing something that's never been seen on the channel. We're coming up on the end of our second time around. That's going to be the end of the series. But today, it is only recently buried. It is, in fact, a new item, but I was kind of excited by it. So it's only got like a light sprinkling of dirt or sand on top of it, so not buried too deep. It also gives me an opportunity to try to once and for all pronounce this brand correctly. Everyone tells me it's Ruike, R-U-I-K-E. And I, in my head, know this is true, or accept it as true, I should say, and yet I have a hard time with it. Anyway, this is the D712. It is a knife that I wish we had here just a couple of weeks ago when we did our best knives under $25 video. You can find that up here probably. This is a $24.95 knife and it is awesome. 3-inch blade, 8CR series steel, very useful drop point shape, and it's got the folded metal frame that SRM, which I'm going to assume in this case is the OEM for this knife. SRM has been really pushing that lately, and it's so cool. It allows them to make a high quality knife very simply with a lot of sturdiness thanks to that solid backbone with scales just mounted to the outside. Very, very cool. We have got a liner lock for security. We have got a subtle rear flipper tab right there, which is quite nice. Wire pocket clip with left and right mountability, and nice action with ball bearings in the pivot. It is simply fantastic at this price point for sure. The only criticism perhaps, and it's going to depend on your hand size, because this is where Seth and I have a difference of opinion. Seth, my occasional co-host on this channel. I didn't really feel any ergonomic issues when opening it, but my hands are a little bit larger than Seth's on his. The tail end of this right here is kind of digging into him a little bit on the flip open. And they do that to basically give you that lanyard attachment point right there. So again, your mileage may vary. That could easily be ground off and modified, but you don't necessarily want to do that. I think it's a really cool knife, and it'll probably show up on the new Knives of the Week video next week anyway. So maybe this was a bad pick for buried treasure, but I wanted to do it anyway. There you go. All right, now we come to the lightning round for today. It is here at last. Beanzerg says, "Hey DCA, I was wondering, when I'm in the kitchen, I touch up my chef's knife with a honing steel. Would that work to touch up my EDC folder? If not, what might be a good alternative?" Short answer, yes, provided it's not like a crazy high edge retention, modern super steel type of thing. Honing rods like this, they kind of true up and realign the edge of a knife. They don't actually sharpen anything. Some people think they do, but they don't in fact do that. So yes, if it's the right steel, but a better option, in my opinion, would be just a small portable strop. You can either make something yourself, or this Benchmade unit right here that's made by Worksharp is like 30 bucks. Actually comes with a ceramic honing rod and a leather strop loaded with some compound already. That gives you that realignment a little bit and some mild abrasives on there in the form of the strop powder or strop paste that's on there. Is going to be really nice for maintaining an edge in between those like full sharpening sessions. Strops are awesome. Rigid strops for this sort of thing, not a hanging strop like a barber uses. Joe Easterling says, I know that DCA loves a Nessmuk knife. Basking in the warmth of Nessmuk thoughts now instead of all this reverse Tanto talk. Stop it. I know that DCA loves a Nessmuk knife. My question is whether or not he would like it in a traditional carbon steel or one of the new super steels. Short answer, yes. I like them both. I will say, because I tend to gravitate more towards handmade fixed blades for my collectibles, rather than high-end production stuff, my Nessmuk collection does heavily favor more traditional carbon steels, but I like them all. There's a place for everything. It is also inclusive, my Nessmuk collection. Well, now we come to our final question of the day, which is, of course, our most serious question of the day, which comes from Free State Fellow. Most serious question. How many nests would a Nessmuk muck if a Nessmuk could muck nests? Well, I will say the more shovel-like the tip, the better at mucking. So the most serious answer is, it all depends. Hope that helps. That's all we got for today, folks. It's funny I mentioned shovel-like. I could have, the digger is kind of shovel-y.
Also reverse Tanto.
Anyway, that's the thing. Some people would call this reverse Tanto. It's a spay. It's a spay blade. That's all we got for today, folks. Keep your questions coming. Keep your most seriousest questions coming. And keep any alternate suggestions you have for any of these questions. Drop them down below as well. What did you like? What did you not like? What did I get wrong? Let me know. If you want to get your hands on any of these knives or accessories, check out the links in the description, which will take you to KnifeCenter.com, where don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because you might as well earn some free money to spend on your future knife when you buy one of these knives today. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, and we're signing off for now.
Reverse Tanto.
See you next time.